Hello, I'm Jonathan, and welcome to the Tamworth FC Social, a podcast all about Tamworth Football Club. The National League North 23-24 season, including the playoffs, has now come to an end, and that means it's time to revisit our predictions that we made all the way back in December. I'm joined by Brett and Graham to go back through their predictions of how this season would end up, and we'll see what they got right and what they got wrong. Don't forget you can follow us on social media at TFC Social Pod. You can click subscribe below this video and switch notifications on to be updated when we upload new episodes. Given then this podcast didn't actually exist at the start of the season, we did our predictions at roughly the halfway mark back in December. So you both gave me your predictions for the National League North title winners, the playoff winners, the relegated sides, and Tamworth's finishing position if it wasn't already included in one of those categories. One of the questions I asked both of you back then was to grade the season to that point, and no surprise, as you both said, A+, and Tamworth were well in the title race at that point and scoring goals for fun, I seem to remember, particularly in December. For your relegated sides, this is quite interesting. So, Brett, you said Bishop Stortford, Darlington, Gloucester, and Peterborough Sports. And Graham, can you remember what yours were?
I think I said Bishop Stortford, Gloucester, Darlington, and Russell.
I think you got 3 out of the 4 there. So you said Bishop Stortford, Darlington, Peterborough Sports, and Russell. The actual relegated sides were Blyth Spartans, Banbury United, Gloucester City, and Bishop's Stortford. So, Brett, you got 2 out of the 4. By my reckoning, and Graham, you got just 1 out of the 4, actually, I think. Playoff winners. Now, Graham, I'm sure you can remember who you went for because they were your tips for quite some time. Brackley Town, of course. And Brett, can you remember who you went for?
I said South Shields, didn't I?
You did indeed. And to be honest, I think given how it ended up with Brackley making the playoff final and given South Shields were flying for large portions of the season and they were still in with a shout of making the playoffs even when they played Tamworth towards the end of the season. They were both very good shouts, but it was, of course, Boston United who won the playoff final and will be joining Tamworth in the National League. Graham, so close as your shout for Brackley was looking so good. Could be third time lucky for the next season, perhaps.
Yeah, I it's quite surprising. Boston going up. I came out of nowhere almost a little bit, but I think they've always been there or thereabouts sort of throughout the season. And they kind of quietly went about their business, really. Whereas, Brackley and Scunthorpe and Chorley were kind of always in that top 4. So yeah, credit to them really to go away to Brackley and get that win. And we'll be seeing them in the National League next season, which will be fun.
Makes me quite glad that Tamworth didn't have to navigate the playoffs themselves because it just shows how unpredictable it can be.
It looks horrible. Well, I say looks, it sounds horrible for when I've listened to a few bits and bobs of the games for the playoffs. There was a lot of tense games, not many goals. A few of them went to penalties. So it's just not a particularly pleasant experience. And I'm glad that Tamworth did the business and they did it in style.
I think you look at Brackley's form over the years in the playoffs, and it's absolutely dreadful. I hope to God we never have to go through something like that. So Brackley's history in the playoffs: 2012-2013, lost in the final against Halifax. 2017 to 2018, lost in the playoff final to Harrogate. 18-19, lost in the playoff semi-final against Spennymoor. 19-20, lost in the playoff quarter-final against Gateshead on penalties. 21-22, lost in the playoff semi-final against York. 22-23, lost in the playoff final against Kidderminster. And then this season, lost in the playoff against Boston. But it's just so many years of heartbreak.
I find it even more surprising about Boston, given they probably had the worst form out of any of the playoff teams in terms of like the last 5 games going into it. they'd only won 2 out of their last 5 going into the playoffs. And when you think like Scunthorpe had won 4 on the bounce, Brackley had won 4 on the bounce, Alfreton had won 3 on the bounce. It's not always the form team that wins the playoffs. Sometimes it's the team that wins a shootout or manages.
When you get to the playoffs, it turns into a cup competition, doesn't it? It's just a matter of how can I win that game in front of me. And I think it just completely changed. You're not trying to get towards that goal and continuous 3 points. It's just how do I win this football match? Whatever means possible.
In terms of your title winners, then, you both said Scunthorpe United would win the title. Obviously, Tamworth ended up winning it. I think that probably just shows how close it was back then in terms of the title race. And then it was really then that New Year period where Tamworth really put the foot down and were relentless then for a few months. And it sort of blew Scunthorpe away a little bit, I think.
Yeah, we made that prediction, I think, at the time when I think Scunthorpe were like 2 points in front of us. And I think that weekend after, then we won and they either didn't play or whatever, they dropped points. I think we went top and then we just kicked on from there.
How that kind of first part of 2024 went on, it was absolutely great, really. I remember us all saying, if we win this period of games, I think it was probably late January into early February or to the end of February, we deserve to be going up. And we did, and more.
I don't think from November, or certainly from December anyway, I don't think we were outside the top 2.
No.
I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure we weren't.
There was that period where Tamworth only won, wasn't there? From like mid-December to, I can't remember, like early 2024. So, I mean, Tamworth must have been at least second for all of that duration.
There was that tiny little blip. Was the bit where we had a few injuries and we lost Chester and we lost that FA trophy game, I think. It was the only minor blip.
So this is a slightly different metric. So where you both thought Tamworth would finish at the start of the season. So obviously we did these predictions in December, so there was a little bit of revisionism, I suppose. You said, Graham, had I asked you at the start of the season, you'd have said 15th. And Brett, I have a text message from you back in September, so a month or so into the season, and you said 14th would be where you'd expect Tamworth to finish. So a complete blowing out of the water of those in terms of what Tamworth went on to achieve.
Makes us sound quite miserable, doesn't it, really? With the season we've had. I think the thing is, at the start of the season, we were both kind of like, as long as we stay up and we finish respectively, then that's a good solid season for us back in this league. And then we build upon that this season. Then maybe we start thinking about the playoffs. But they blew out the water, didn't they? And they completely surprised everybody. Plaudits to that, to the management and the team and what they've done.
When it's a newly promoted side, it is a little, well, more than a little bit of an unknown, a huge unknown in terms of how a team will acclimatise to a new level. Although Tamworth's, recent history would suggest as a club they are very good at getting to grips with a higher division.
I think we all were just a bit. We thought the league had moved on a little bit from when we were last in there. So that's probably where the more kind of, we were trying to be realistic, but momentum took us on.
And I also asked for your final Tamworth League positions. Brett, can you remember what you said?
I said 5th.
You said 5th. That is right. What about you, Graham? Can you remember yours?
I think I said 3rd.
You did. Good memories. Which I suppose at that point, again, you were both allowing for a little bit of a drop off, perhaps, and for I guess Scunthorpe to do ultimately what Tamworth went on to do and just put that key run together. But the tables turned. And then the final thing I asked you both was, would Tamworth still be in the title race by April? Now, obviously, that is kind of subjective in terms of how you would take that. You both said no, but judging on the final positions you gave, you would probably say that's in line with a third place or a fifth place finish.
Said no because I knew we were going to win it. It was already done and it wasn't going to be a race.
It was done in September.
That's quite the digging Brett out of a hole there. I like that. So, I mean, anything to say for yourselves? I think it sort of all just really shows how unpredictable the season went on to be. Because I think Tamworth broke a record to win the title, didn't they? So, I mean, it's quite hard to predict a record breaking team.
I think for me, I'm obviously delighted that we were both wrong. Just again shows how much of a formidable season it was. No one would have predicted that. If you speak to the players, I'm sure they would hand on heart say that they weren't expected to do it as well. Who knows? Maybe December next year we'll be asking the same questions and we'll be second, and I'll be saying that we finished fifth. Then we've actually won it at a canter, and I'm eating my words again. But yeah, great season, great memories. I'm just glad to have been a part of it, and I'll remember this season for as long as I remember all the good ones that have gone.
You need to get that snippet of what you just said, that then Brett, about next season. If we do it again, 3 times in a row. AFC filed, won it the season before. I didn't even realise, to be honest. And they had a huge budget. And we got more points than them. Their full-time team as well. Just that effort that the team put in, it's just monumental and brilliant all round. Still can't quite believe it in some ways. And that we'll be playing conference football again next season and bring it on. I think keep that nucleus of that squad together, bring in some players that have got National League experience as well to complement it. And yeah, why not? Let's try and finish as high as possible. Let's go in there with, lots of positivity, and we don't need to be afraid of anyone in there, that's for sure. We've been there before, got the momentum of the last 2 years and all the positivity. So just put all that into next season, and hopefully we can have another brilliant season. For me, if we finish mid-table, I think that would be a brilliant season for us. I think we are going to be, I don't know if Braintree are part-time. They will be, I imagine. Is there going to be, I think we're going to be like one of about 4 part-time clubs in there now. I'm not sure what you count. And Boston has I know they're hybrid, I believe. So that's still effectively part-time in it. So it's just going to be interesting to see how we cope with that step up. But I think we've played enough teams that are full-time, bit hybrid this season. I think we'll do all right.
I would love next season for us to finish, even if we finished 14th next season. I would love that.
Yeah.
That is because then we've got the highest ever league finish to top 2 fantastic seasons. Now people will look back at that and go, "That's not very optimistic," or "That's not very ambitious." But actually, that'd be the highest that we've ever finished. Give us a platform to build on again for the year after. And I think we could do that. I think we will be on next season to our highest ever league finish in the football period. And all these people already, people who support clubs who haven't been around in the non-league for that long, clearly don't know anything, are already writing us off as relegation fodder. Well, you know what? Let's see what happens. We're well supported. We've got a great spirit, great momentum, and we've done it twice. We know how to win. We know how to win games. We know how to frustrate people. So bring it on.
I think that's it. I think people are writing us off already, and they shouldn't, because we have been there before. We've got the pedigree at that level. We know what it's about. And like you say, you've got the spirit and momentum of these same players that have been together for the last couple of seasons, and they'll be absolutely relishing it. They'll be chomping at the bit to go again. And they know how to win games and know how to play together. I watched the playoff final, actually, for the conference. Putting it out there, I thought, Tamworth couldn't compete with these guys easily. compete with these guys. It's a lot of passing football. We've seen teams like South Shields and Scunthorpe play this season, the same type of thing. But I thought, yeah, we'll be all right here.
The 10 Solihull fans beyond the goal.
I'm so glad they've stayed down, just so we can go and beat them.
Nice to have a derby next season that is actually a Midlands derby rather than just the nearest club. We will do our full National League predictions a little bit later in the summer. We did throughout this season do a predictions league, and a few episodes ago we revealed Graham as the winner of that. And I have got Graham a trophy of sorts. I will put a photo of this on our social media.
Oh wow, amazing!
Oh, that's fantastic.
That's actually awesome.
My intention was that the winner gets to keep it for like a year and then it goes to the next winner. But maybe we see what the state of affairs are in a year's time. But it is a pin badge that says the nationwide conference, and it says Tamworth Football Club the Lambs. So very fitting given Tamworth's return to the top flight of non-league football.
Excellent. I will wear that proudly when I go to the games. I'll wear that proudly.
I love that. I'm going to win it next year.
I want to win it, but I want to win it better.
Exactly. Clough v Revy on the podcast.
I'm going to go to the nationwide conference away, and I would love it if we beat them. Love it!
That's all for this episode of the Tamworth FC Social podcast. Thank you for listening. You can follow us on social media at TFC Social Pod. If you've enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and do subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can do that by clicking the subscribe button below this video and turning on video notifications. Until next time, goodbye.